Cooking with Tia Laura. Today we're going to be making Spanish rice, or in my house, just regular rice. We never refer to it as Spanish rice, it's the rice that we typically eat in my house. Let's see, let me show you the ingredients. Really simple. Rice, tomato sauce, yellow onion, green bell pepper, and I like to use chicken broth. I took this out of the freezer last night to defrost. I'll usually make my broth in quantity and freeze it. So today's rice is calrose rice. Now, I don't use long grain rice for Spanish rice. I typically don't use the imported rice from Spain for everyday cooking. I save that special one when I make paella, which will be a whole other video. So the difference between long grain rice and something like a pearl rice or a calrose rice is the absorption. Calrose will absorb more of the fluid than a long grain. Now, one of the big differences in this rice than what people typically think of is this is Spanish rice, not Mexican rice. So Mexican rice is delicious. That's usually long grain and has lots of wonderful spices into it, might even have a little bit of a kick. This isn't that rice. It looks very similar. It's just simpler. It doesn't have as many of the flavors, but yet it's wonderful and something that you can make for your weekly meals. Sometimes when I'm making this rice, it reminds me of our eldest daughter. Now keep in mind we have 6 kids, 3 boys and 3 girls. So back to the eldest daughter. She was pregnant. She calls me up one day and she sounds a little frantic. And I'm telling her, honey, what's wrong? What's wrong? She tells me, I need rice. I need rice. I said, well, you know how to make rice. She says, no, I need your rice. And I had always assumed that the kids knew how to make it because they'd seen me make it at least a couple times a week. So brings back happy memories that my grandson Hendrix wanted Abuela's rice even before he came into this world. And that's what home cooking is all about. Okay, now that we've cut all our ingredients, we're gonna head on over to the stovetop. Spanish rice is made in a frying pan. We don't use an Instapot, a rice cooker, or a regular pot. Here I'm adding olive oil to my hot frying pan. And then I'm going to go ahead and add up the diced onions and bell pepper. Now you can customize this for the quantity of onion or bell pepper that you like. This is what enhances the rice and gives it a lot of its flavor. In this particular recipe, I had intended to use half the bell pepper and I ended up putting the whole thing in. But it really doesn't matter. I mean, it still turns out to be great. And like I said, it's just a personal preference. Go ahead and stir this up. You want your onions to get a little soft. It should take less than a minute. Then add the rice. And you're going to stir this around. You want the rice to get nice and coated with the oils and the flavors that are beginning to happen. Then you're going to add the tomato sauce. I just use a small can. I would say I used a little bit less than a cup. And again, this is also going to be personal preference. After adding the tomato sauce, you're going to stir that up as well. And everything gets nice and coated. It's the last time that you're going to stir. Then your chicken broth is going to go in. And again, this is also customizable. We have a son who's a vegan, so if he's coming by, I can make him rice and put a vegetable stock in it or water. My mother even used to make it just with water. I prefer the chicken broth, and like I said, that's something that I make in quantity and it's handy. I just take it out of the freezer whenever I want it. Now you're going to let this come to a boil. Lower the heat to low, as low as you can get. I end up switching burners to get a lower heat, and then you cover it. You don't want to touch it or check on it. Once it starts boiling, put the lid on, put it on low, set the timer for 20 minutes. It may take between 20 to 25 minutes, but at about 20 minutes you want to check it. You can just turn the heat off and let it finish cooking on its own. And there you go. Spanish rice. Smells delicious.